how have things been for you at Podnews?
I think we're quite lucky in that, I mean, obviously you can get emails at work or at home or wherever it is that you get that. So from a consumption point of view, there's really been very little change. Open rates went down a little bit, as you would probably expect, but not that much. And, and so people are still consuming it. There was an awful lot of news for a couple of weeks about how the coronavirus is affecting podcasting. But in terms of, I was fully expecting advertisers to cancel, nobody to buy the classified ads, all of the financial side of the business to collapse. And none of that, touch wood, has actually happened.
Really?
And I think that's probably because podcasting is, we're lucky we can do this in our own home, in our own home offices and that sort of thing. So actually, we've seen the largest amount of new podcasts, appearing as more people have launched new podcasts from home. So I think from that point of view, that's made the podcast industry very lucky. And certainly when you talk to the podcast hosts, they are all saying we're really busy. We are really busy. We are signing up more business than we ever have done in the past. We're more new podcasts are going up there. It's a really busy time. We are properly full on, particularly the customer service teams.
Yeah, I noticed as a producer and creating a podcast, there was a slight downtick in downloads for that first month. And then I started to realize, okay, there's actually like 20% of our audience that listens to it easily on the commute. I actually spoke to some of those people. Yeah. Someone contacted us on Instagram and said, "Oh, hey man, looking forward to this episode. I can't believe I missed it." And it was like 2 weeks ago. And like, I default into putting it on in the car. Yes. And so that was really interesting, and got us thinking about integrating more of that sort of greeting that audience, I guess on their commute when that happens again. But now we've noticed an uptick in downloads. I think people are getting used to this way of consuming content. But there's also the issue that you're right. There's never been a better time to start a podcast, and everyone has one. So I think it's drowning out a lot of people that were sort of in that hobby phase, and we're sort of lucky that we started, for us at least, 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, what I've been deliberately not linking to from Podnews has been stories, that have been popping up in the newspapers of, 40-year-old man, bored, starts his new podcast from home. And there've been a lot of those stories. And that's exactly not what... piece. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly not what anybody wants to see. So, so I've deliberately not been linking to any of those. But yeah, there's been a fair amount of that. But I think, as you say, I think habits are particularly important for media consumption. And, the radio world, for example, lots of radio is listened to in the car. Lots of radio is listened to on a commute. It's the thing that turns on automatically when you start your car. And so that does really well. And so radio has had a tremendous change, a really large change in terms of consumption and where it's consumed and how it's consumed. But once you sit there for a couple of weeks and you're getting used to your new life, then you get new habits. And and everybody now is seeing that for the last 2 weeks, certainly, podcasting has been on the rise. Not on the rise particularly quickly, but nevertheless on the rise, and is certainly not going down anymore. And I think that is just due to the fact that, we now have our habits. We now understand where we can fit a podcast into our daily life. And that habit probably won't get broken again when things change back. There's probably really good news, I think, for us as podcasters as we go out of lockdown, because people will have not just fitted in podcasting into their commute, but also worked out where else in their lives they can fit podcasting into as well.